Welcome to Diversity Matters. This program is designed to highlight activities throughout New Hanover County Schools and the greater Wilmington region that celebrate our diversity and embrace inclusion. Diversity Matters has long been a staple at New Hanover County Schools TV, allowing us to celebrate, educate, and support the diverse community we live in. In the wake of the most recent murders of unarmed Black citizens Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd that have divided our nation and shined a bright light on the systemic racism in our country, segments such as Diversity Matters are more important than ever. Last month, the district released a statement committing its efforts to have difficult and uncomfortable conversations surrounding race and equity. In today's episode of Diversity Matters, we will be speaking with New Hanover County Schools Human Resources Department and learning about the role they are playing to create a more inclusive and equitable school district.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
Welcome back to Diversity Matters. I'm Caress Clegg. Joining us today, we have Deb Trafton, Classified Talent Management Supervisor for New Hanover County Schools. Thank you, Deb, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Caress. I'm so happy to be here and talk to you today.
Awesome. Well, let's get straight to it. So New Hanover County Schools has 2 groups of employees. They have classified employees and certified employees. Can you talk to us about the difference between those groups of employees?
Sure. They are strange terms to people who aren't in education. Mm-hmm. Certified refers to staff that have a teaching license. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about teachers and support roles that have licenses like social workers and psychologists and administrators. Mm-hmm. And we refer to administrators as certified staff. They're assistant principals and mm-hmm. principals and instructing supervisors. Our classified staff is made up of everyone else, mm-hmm. and those are folks like teacher assistants and custodians and cafeteria workers and clerical staff.
Gotcha. So let's look at the numbers. What are the percentage of certified staff, educators of color within New Hanover County Schools currently?
This is exciting new information. We have been able to double our efforts in the last year or so. And we have about 20% of new educators that represent educators of color.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, good to hear. So do we find that this percentage is lower or higher when looking across our neighboring counties or throughout the state of North Carolina?
We did a recent study and we based it on data from last year. And what we found was that next to our neighbors in counties like Pender and Brunswick, mm-hmm. we're about equal. Mm-hmm. But when we look at larger areas where there's more representation of people of color, we're a little underrepresented.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What efforts is Human Resources currently taking to kind of improve that percentage and get more representation of educators of color within our schools?
We're doing a lot of work right now. We had some ideas last year that we're actually getting to implement this year. And so mm-hmm. it's really exciting and it's a lot of work and it's challenging work. But we have about 4 different efforts that we're pursuing. Right now what we're trying to do is work with target-rich environments. Mm-hmm. So we are targeting schools that are historically Black and colleges and universities. And we're trying to partner with them to go to their school for career fairs, mm-hmm. And do things like employer days where we would be the only employer with their student body, and we would be showcasing the great things about our district and trying to attract them to come to Wilmington. And some other partnerships that we have locally include vocational rehab, so that we're also focusing on working to increase our representation of people with disabilities, and the Latinx Alliance to increase our representation to support our growing Latino students and their families. And then we have our long relationships as well with Step Up Wilmington and NC Works. And these are all organizations that help us try to attract more educators of colors and other underrepresented groups. That's just one.
Oh, wow. I was counting in my head. I thought you had ran through 4 of them. So let's talk about the other 3 efforts.
So we have another new initiative, and we refer to it as like get them while they're hot. So what we're trying to do is identify qualified candidates that, whether we have a position or not, we're going to try to hire them before we lose them. We don't want to lose a qualified person because they got scooped up by one of our neighboring counties or another business before we had a chance to do it. So even if we don't have a position, we're going to try to offer them an early contract. And when a position does become available, they can then meet with the principal, see if it's the right school, and get hired and started. That's one way. The other thing that we're doing, and this really is part of our inclusive hiring initiative to bring on more people with disabilities, we have a partnership with vocational rehab, and we have students in our own special ed programs throughout our high schools that intern for their schools instead of going to other businesses in our community. So while there are some that are doing work for other organizations, many of them are working for us. So they're working in our cafeterias, or they're working as custodians, and then when they graduate, they can be hired directly with us.
Awesome.
And I just want to take this moment to give a shout out to some of those schools and departments that are helping us with this initiative, and that's Ashley High School and Freeman and Blair and Child Nutrition. Their principals and directors are doing such a good job of supporting our student interns so that they are ready to be employees and be participating in this program.
I remember we had you on back in September with Board Chair Ms. Eastep and Julie Varnum to talk about vocation and rehab. So it's so great to hear how improvements and how progress is coming along. Because when you see the progress that you've made just from September to now in that program, then it leaves us more hopeful for the progress that we can make in regards to our educators of color. So that is great.
Thank you, Caress. Yeah, and it's great that we have such great leadership to be able to talk about those efforts at Board of Ed meetings and in other big venues, so that we can help spread the word and help spread the awareness.
Exactly.
So our third effort is really just trying to tap into our own human capital. And what better way to do that when you have 3,000 employees is to tap into our own resources so that we can cast a wide net and try to network and identify needs and come up with different plans. Last month we recently sent out a survey. It was the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Participation Survey, and it is related specifically to HR and our efforts. We've gotten over 160 responses so far, and what the purpose of that survey is to find out, why did you come work for us? Why do you want to stay? What support do you need? What resources do you have that can help us in our recruitment efforts, and would you like to help us do that? So what school did you graduate from? Do you have an alma mater? Do you have contacts there? What other organizations in our own area are you part of that is doing same or similar work that maybe we can link up with to increase our efforts? And we're really excited about that. And I do want to mention that this is something we really welcome, and we want our own people to feel open and comfortable with coming to HR with their ideas and with their contacts. So if anyone would like, that's listening, to participate, if they haven't done the survey, they can always call or email our certified supervisor, who's Susan Sellers. She's leading our recruitment efforts, has done an amazing job this year, and we just want to keep that momentum going. So we hope that they reach out directly to her.
And to any of our educators who have not taken that survey, it was sent out on Monday, so be sure to check those inboxes. I know I've already taken it, so we want to be sure to get as much feedback as we can from our current educators of color.
Thank you, Caress. I want to just follow up with that and say that once we get those responses in, we will be looking at that data to see what supports are needed, and we're going to establish focus groups so that not only can we work towards our recruitment efforts, but we can work towards our retainment efforts as well. Finally, we have our last effort that I wanted to make sure everybody knew about, and that's growing from within. Again, we have so many employees that are part of our classified staff. We recently put on our Human Resources website a new resource center for TAs to learn about different teacher pathways, but it's not limited to just TAs. TAs are on the front lines and they do great work and are already familiar with instructional services, but there are other groups of classified employees, such as our after-school group leaders who are working towards their degree, who may be interested in teaching, bus drivers who are looking for a career change to want to be a teacher. So there's different pathways, and this resource site will give them ideas of how to approach the best path for themselves. And we have on staff in human resources, myself, we also have Andrea Rains in our group who works with student internship placements. Shalia Washington is our licensure specialist, and she can help answer questions for those who say, I have an associate's degree, what do I do next? So there are residency programs that can apply to them. And even at our high school level, we are trying to get the word out. The board recently awarded scholarships for students who want to pursue a teaching degree, and that's going to help them do it. That's going to help fund their college education to become a teacher. And then when they graduate, we want to scoop them up and hire them and bring them into our own buildings. And I know that there was an announcement made about the scholars for this year, and they do represent a wide range of students, and we were so happy to see that. It was such great work, and we want to keep that going. So we want students through their counselors to learn about that program and to learn about other scholarship opportunities like the NC Fellows Scholarship, which also provides a little money for those who want to pursue a teaching degree. And
that scholarship, you're talking the Board of Education Future Teacher Scholarship, is awarded to 4 different high school seniors annually, and it totals over $20,000 for each winner. And this year we had one African American winner, and we had a Latinx winner. So it was great to kind of see that representation in that, to know in 4 years' time those educators are coming back to teach in our school and be representative in their communities.
That's wonderful. And we hope that we can continue to support them, and another initiative would be to bring them back and have them come to our focus groups that we soon develop from this survey that we're doing, and help and bring them when we do recruitment at career fairs, and bring them to little little meetings that we have throughout the district. We're planning to do that for our TAs and others that are interested in becoming teachers. Go out to them, let them know what opportunities are there. So the more people that we can touch and invite to help us with this work, the better.
That's great. So we touched on recruitment, what the district is doing to recruit educators of color. Now, I know you mentioned a little bit, but talk to me a little bit more about what we're doing to retain our current educators of color.
Well, the first thing that we want to do is continue to raise awareness. continue to have this conversation. And until we know who we need to support, we need to start developing plans towards that. So the equity group has provided some training to help raise awareness. And I'm sure that there are some that know about it, but not maybe everyone does. And part of that training is the implicit bias training that all district employees are invited to attend, the groundwater training that not just employees but community members have attended. And this work is really a change in our culture for our entire community to attract them, not just to New Hanover County Schools. We got to get them to Wilmington first.
Exactly.
So that we can increase our talent pool. And we're also doing windmill training that we've mentioned in a prior episode of Diversity Matters in our inclusive hiring work, so that we can train principals and directors and other hiring agencies, agents on how to attract and feel comfortable with the interview process of persons with disabilities, and teach them how to keep them on board through additional training on how to support them and how to work with job coaches if they should have a person with disability in their building. There's also phase 1 training that's more advanced for our principals. And we're doing book studies, and I was happy to hear that there are schools and there are groups that are doing book studies that have not been formally organized by the equity group. The word is getting out. People are buying books to learn and be aware, and that's all part of our retention.
Good to see that our district is so committed, not just at the district level, but at the individual and at the school level as well.
That's right. That's right. And so that, coupled with what we hope to gain from the survey and the focus groups that we develop, those focus groups are going to be key in helping us identify ways to retain our own employees.
All right. So the district has the equity work group, they have the EDI, which is Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Board Committee. From an HR perspective, why is this work so important? Why are the formations of these these work groups and these committees and task force important to New Hanover County Schools?
Unless we act to increase our work in becoming more diversified, we're just perpetuating the problem, and we're perpetuating our inequity and our diversity and inclusion. And we are in a time right now that change is happening, and our students and their families are seeing that. And we need to be part of that movement, and we need to progress now while it's high on everyone's list.
Has the district seen any improvement thus far in the work that they've done from the HR perspective?
Yes, I think so. And one thing that I wanted to mention is our BT program, our Beginning Teacher Program. That work has grown. It's already a pretty respected program. Our neighboring counties and actually all throughout the state recognizes our Beginning Teacher Program as one of the best in the state. And it's led by Marcia Carnes and Andrea Raines, and they have been able to reach out to other counties for support. And we're working right now with Christina Spears from Wake County Public Schools, and she is their Equity Affairs Specialist. They have a very well-established program in their schools.
Oh, wow.
And she last year, and this is something that we will continue to do, came to our beginning teacher orientations. Our beginning teachers are the front lines. They're the ones who are going to help sustain a cultural change in the way that we are doing our equity work. And she has come to teach them strategies in equity and raise awareness again about our own implicit biases.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk to our audience or let our audience know about Human Resources Division's work through sustaining a more equitable district?
I'm glad you asked that. Right now, again, change is happening, and this is difficult work, and it's difficult because it's not trying to just attract people, as I said earlier, to New Hanover County Schools. We need to attract them to Wilmington and give them reasons to do so. And we're one of the largest employers. So if we are creating a cultural change, they're going to want to come. And we can't do that with just 2 or 3 people.
No.
It's got to be a group effort. And so again, I invite anyone who's interested in this work and would like to participate to reach out to Human Resources. We would love to have you. We'd love to have your feedback. We'd love to have your help. We need to cast that wide net and increase our networking ability as well.
As Dr. Smith always says, it's not just the change in the school district, it has to be the change within the whole community, and I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Deb, for being with us today and sharing all this information. A dream without a plan is just a wish. That is not the case with the district's Human Resources Division. The division is actively and intentionally working towards the dreams and goals of our district and are committed to ensuring their procedures regarding recruitment and retention efforts are equitable.
I like to eat apples and bananas. I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
In our last recorded episode back in March, we discussed representation in the workforce. African American students make up 17% of the population of New Hanover County Schools, and Hispanic students make up an additional 14% of that population. A 2018 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research states that having just one Black teacher in elementary school increases the probability that a child will enroll in college. Our Human Resources Division, in collaboration with the Equity Work Group and Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, are taking intentional steps to ensure our principals, assistant principals, directors, and teachers in New Hanover County Schools directly represent those numbers. Through support, listening, learning, and allying, New Hanover County Schools will ensure that we celebrate our diverse community through growing a sustainable environment that embraces inclusion, provides equitable opportunities, and affirms our humanity. Thank you to New Hanover County Schools Human Resources Division for taking the necessary steps to improve, increase, and retain educators of color in our district.